Let's look at a few common error indicators in Excel. Now bear in mind that error indicators always begin with a hash sign. So we're going to look at some of the common ones that you should know from grade 10 and now within grade 11 as well. So some of this will be revision. The hash div/0 error. This error is received when we work with a spreadsheet formula which divides two values in the formula by 0. So any formula that's trying to divide by 0, it's going to give you that error. Now the simplest way to resolve this particular error is just to go into the formula and make sure it is not dividing by 0. You can go and use an if function, but that's something we'll deal with at another time. The second one is the hash n/a error, or no value or not available, and it indicates that the formula cannot find the value that we suppose it may return. This you'll find in things like Excel's VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, match lookup functions. We may get this error if we do not find referenced value in the source data as an argument. So there we can see is an example of a VLOOKUP, and it's not finding what it's looking for. So the first solution could be to enter the numbers as text, right? In this scenario, we would rather use text over there. Solution 2 is to simply use the text function. Okay, again, all of this is going to depend on your particular scenario. But there they mentioned to us that we can use the text function in VLOOKUP, for example, for the lookup value argument to convert entered numbers to text. Okay, so that'll sort out the hash n/a. Then we've got the hash name ? error. This error is displayed when we usually misspell the function name. Okay, so there you can see it's not VLOOKUP, it's VLOOKUP. Okay, so when we spell it correctly, it should work. The hash null error. This error is usually displayed when cell references are not specified correctly. Get this error where we do not use the space character appropriately. In the below image, as you can see there, we've used the space character, but the ranges A2 to A12 and B2 to B12 are not intersecting, and this is why the error is displayed. So you see over here, they just put in a space instead of popping in a semicolon or a comma, and that's why it then gives us that error. Then we've got the hash num ! Error. This error is usually displayed when a number for any function argument is found invalid. So here, for example, MS Excel has a range of numbers that we can use. The number smaller than the shortest number or number greater than the longest number due to the function can return an error, and there we have an example of that. Then we have the hash ref ! error. This error stands for reference error. This error usually comes when we, number one, accidentally deleted the cell that we referenced in a formula, or we cut and paste the referenced cell in different locations. So it's referring to a cell that might not be there any longer. Our hash value error. This comes when we use the wrong data type for a function or formula. And this is probably the most common one, our string of hashes error. This is displayed when the column width in Excel is not enough to show the stored value. So there we see we've got date and time, and because it's so long, it's not fitting into that cell, and then we have our row of hashes. And then the last one, our circular reference error, and sometimes you'll see this. In fact, most times when you've done something like this and you open your spreadsheet, it gives you that error immediately. They tell us this type of error comes when we reference the same cell in which we are writing the function or formula. The above image there that we can see in front of us shows that we have a sum of 0 as we have referenced B4 in the cell itself for calculation. So whenever we create this type of circular reference in Excel, Excel alerts us, and that's the error that we'll see. So you want to go and check on your formulas and make sure that they are not referring to themselves as well. Now let's look at a typical activity that might involve some of these things. And here we have from page 196 in your textbook, activity 7. Here we have our file error indicators. Okay, and they mentioned to us that they want us to do a few things. The first one says the cost for the bus transport. So here we have the classes. This is grade 10, 11, and 12. And maybe let me just zoom in here. So we have grade 10, 11, and 12. The number of learners in the class, the number that are taking bus transport, the amount that's been paid in. We have an amount outstanding and the number not taking bus transport. So they say the cost for the bus is 40 Rand per learner. Determine in column F. There's column F. The amount outstanding for each class. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to look at, we have the number of learners in class, which is 33 in this case. Then when we look at the number that are taking bus transport, it's 26. So it's going to mean it's 26 learners multiplied by the 40 Rand. And then whatever that total is, we'll subtract it from the amount that's been paid in. So let's go and do that. We're going to go equals. We're going to open our bracket. We're going to say whatever is in that cell. We're going to multiply that by 40. And then we're going to subtract it from whatever is in the cell. And there's my balance. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use autofill, and I'm just going to go all the way down. And there we go. Done. Next one. Let's see. B says in column G, this is where we are over here, we wish to determine the number of learners in each class who will not make use of the transport. Now, in this case here, we know that there again are 33 learners in the class. 26 are going with the bus. So what are we going to do? We're going to subtract one from the other, and then we'll know how many learners are actually going to go or are not going to go with the bus. And there we go. 7 are not going to use bus transport, and I'm just going to use my autofill again, and there, that's sorted. The next one says correct the function in cell D22. And this is now dealing with the bus transport, the total number. So here are all the learners from the different grades that are going with the bus. And they're saying to us, correct the function in cell D22 so that it displays the total number of learners. When we talk about total numbers, we're talking about sum. I see this formula has a count. So let's remove count and let's do sum because we want to add all of these numbers together. And there we've got a number of 373. Now, in the next one, they mentioned to us that each bus can transport around 60 learners. Now, if that's the case, how many buses do we need? So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to take whatever our total is in terms of the learners that need to be transported by the bus, and we're going to divide that by 60. Now, that gives me 6,21 and all those lovely 6's, 7. I can't have 6,2 buses, can I? No. So what do they say to me here? Calculate the number of buses that will be needed, and then they mention that we should use the round up function. So you can see I've first done this, right? So now I'm going to pop my brackets around here. So I keep all of that safe. And I'm going to go to the beginning, and I'm now going to say round up. And I'm going to open my bracket again. Now with round up, where I would have specified my number in the first place, there you can see, it's a formula. So whatever that answer is, I want to round that up to 0 decimal places. Do you see that? There's my round up formula. That would have been my number, but now instead of my number, it's now going to be a calculation that's going to be done, and then whatever that is, it's going to round it up to the nearest whole number. So I'll be looking at 7 buses. Okay, and the last one says correct the functions in cells D26 to D28. Now that's a hash null error. And remember, our hash null error said that this error is usually displayed when cell references are not specified correctly. So let's go into, do you see what's wrong with our formula? What's missing there? There is a space, but there should be a colon. And there we go. We're going to go to the next one. Pop in our colon, hit enter. Go to the next one. Do the same thing. And there we go. We've sorted out our spreadsheet, and that is activity 7 done.